Hi, I'm Dave Hilgendorf. I want to start by congratulating you. First, I want to congratulate you for taking the time to come to Promise Keepers, or at least knowing someone who did. And second, I want to thank you for taking the time to sign up for and watch this video series. I wanted to give you a good overview of who I am, where I'm coming from, and what you can expect from this video series. This first introductory video is a little longer than the others, so please stick with me, but I wanted to give you a good idea of what to expect. Other than the name and email you gave me to access this video, I don't know much about you, but I kind of feel like I do know you. I've been to several Promise Keepers events myself. Because of that, I think I know a few things about you. The first thing I know about you is that you're a man. Promise Keepers is not for everyone, it's for men. And despite some of the messages we receive out in the world today, men and women are different. We'll talk about that some more in video 3 on marriage. Another thing I know about you is that you came to Promise Keepers, or like I said, you know someone who did. That tells me something about you. I know what it takes to make the decision to come to Promise Keepers. It takes courage, it takes time, and it takes a sense of dissatisfaction with the status quo. Even if it wasn't really your idea to come to Promise Keepers, and you were somewhat coerced into coming, something tells me that you were a lot like me. When you raised your hand, signed up on that sheet, made the necessary arrangements to be away from home for these 2 days, and paid whatever financial cost was required. I'm guessing that you were looking for something more. You were wanting to raise your spiritual game and get serious about your relationship with Jesus Christ. Or as my old pastor Cam Huxford used to say, you were ready to cowboy up. So I know a little bit about what you went through to make it to Promise Keepers, but I also have some idea what you're going through now after having been to Promise Keepers. I was never the same after going to PK, and I don't believe you will be either, and that's a good thing. A Promise Keepers event affects everyone a little differently, I'm sure. It's a personal thing. Here are just 3 specific ways it affected me. My first PK was the first time I had a sense that there were a whole bunch of men out there who were fired up for Jesus. That was very encouraging to me, and it gave me a glimpse into a different kind of life. PK was also the very first time I raised my hands in worship. Now, I don't think there's a right and wrong way to worship, so if you didn't raise your hands while you were at PK, it's okay. For me, though, there was a sense of freedom and submission to God when I first raised up hands to Him. And I've been worshiping Him with that sense of freedom for almost 10 years now, and I highly recommend it. The third way PK impacted me was that it turned me on to Christian music. Before Promise Keepers, I didn't own any Christian music, and I didn't listen to Christian radio. But I so much enjoyed the music by the PK band that I bought the CD for that event, and in the weeks that followed, I wore that CD out. Every morning I drove to work, it was like I was back at PK again, and I entered into worship. It's still one of my favorite CDs today. After that, I started listening to Christian radio and buying some Christian CDs, and today it's the only kind of music I listen to, and I also highly recommend that. You might be wondering who I am and why you should care what I have to say. I was raised Lutheran in the great state of Wisconsin. As a young man, I made a lot of mistakes when it came to relationships, finances, and personal habits. Sometime in my mid-30s, I hit rock bottom. I was a broken man, just about every way you could think of. In that humbled state, I realized I was missing something I could not get in my own power. I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and I was born again. Since then, life hasn't been perfect, but it's been good. In fact, it's been great. Today, I attend Victory Fellowship Church in Asheboro, North Carolina, a non-denominational Christian church. I support and I'm involved in ministries that bring Christians together in unity, and I have a heart in particular for men's ministries. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Carrie, and we have 3 wonderful daughters. I'm a full-time engineer. In my spare time, I've written a book that was just recently published called Jesus is at work, where I show others how to have joy and purpose at their current job. I've been writing a blog for a few years now. The name of my blog at first was guysforjesus.com. Then I changed it to loveplustruth.com. Then I changed it to livingoutyourfaith.com. And finally, I decided the only way to stop me from changing the name of my blog was to use my personal name, since that wasn't going to change. So for just under a year now, my blog has been found at davehilgendorf.com, where I help men live life with purpose. I enjoy speaking to churches and conferences on topics important to men, and specifically about faith in the workplace. I don't know about you, but I really like analogies. For me, the right analogy can really help me understand something. When I think about what my role is or should be with these videos, I think about a high school football game as an analogy for your journey of life after leaving a Promise Keepers event. First, let's talk about what my role is not. I'm not the coach. In other words, I'm not your pastor. I've never been to seminary. I'm not going to preach to you. I don't have all the answers, and I'm not a guru. I'm also not a spectator, sitting in the bleachers, yelling at you, telling you what you should do while not actually doing it myself. I'm kind of a cheerleader, since I do hope to encourage you, but I kind of nixed that one because I'm a guy and I just wasn't comfortable with that whole pom-pom thing. I think of myself as a sophomore or maybe even a junior member of the football team. I played some games, learned a few things, but still learning, and I'm out there playing the game of life right now. Now you may be a freshman, a brand new Christian, or you may be a senior, or even captain of the football team, and you've been following and loving on Christ for a long time. One thing I've learned, though, is that just as a senior member of a high school football team can learn from a freshman who has a fresh perspective, I can learn from you and you can learn from me, provided we're both open to being taught. Now that I've told you about me, let's talk about what this video series is all about. This series is about your life as a man after leaving Promise Keepers. It's guided by 3 principles and organized by your most important roles and relationships as a man. First, let's talk about the 3 guiding principles. The first guiding principle is relevant. I want this information to be relevant to you. I want you to feel like I'm reading your mail, that what I'm saying is something you can relate to and that you can apply to your life. The first aspect of relevance is that this will be relevant to your life as a Christian. This will be biblical-based information, not secular self-help mumbo-jumbo. I've had enough of that in my life, and I suspect you have as well. This also will be relevant to you as a man. I suppose that this information might be interesting and informative for women, but that's not who this is directed to. It's designed with your manhood in mind. I also hope to be relevant in terms of your Promise Keepers experience specifically. I'll try to tie this information as much as possible to the PK experience you just went through. The second principle is practical. What I'll be sharing is based on my own experience primarily, as well as the experience of others I know. But the key is that it is not based on theory, but on what works and what doesn't work. Most of what I'll share will be action-oriented, not theoretical. In fact, I'll end every video with some short-term and long-term action steps you can take. And finally, to make this as practical as possible, I'll try to offer you both long-term and short-term perspectives on every topic, so you'll have some ideas that may benefit you right away, as well as some that you can refer back to over time. The third principle is unity. Theology is important. We all have opinions and beliefs, some more strongly held than others, about theological and doctrinal issues. My focus will be on what brings us Christian men together. I do that not because I'm afraid to offend someone or because I want to water down the truth, but I think there's a time and place to dig into and even debate doctrinal issues. But this video series is not the place for that. As Christian men, we have so much we can agree on, and I think the devil loves it when we're divided. One of the things I love about Promise Keepers is the way it brings men together from different denominations in unity, and I want to tap into that same spirit with these videos. Now that we've discussed the principles behind this video series, let's talk about how it will be organized. There are a total of 9 videos in the series. Every one can be summarized by one word. The first video, which you're watching now, is the intro video. The last video, number 9, I call the again video, since we're once again going to ask the same question we're asking now, which is, now what? The point of that last video will be to summarize the information you went through and to give you some more encouragement, some direction and next steps to take. The 7 videos in between are organized around what I believe to be your most important roles and relationships as a man. Video number 2, what I call the most video, will talk about your most important relationship. Video number 3, the marriage video, will talk about your role as a husband or future husband. Video number 4, the dad video, talks about your role as a father or future father. Video 5, the work video, talks about your role as an employee, as a worker. Number 6, the boss video, is for those of you who shepherd others, either as a pastor, manager, ministry leader, mentor, or business owner. It's really about leadership, so it applies to every one of you. Video number 7, the brothers video, is about the importance of developing relationships with other Christian men, brothers in Christ, to help you with your journey and with all your other relationships. Not to leave anyone out, video number 8, the others video, will talk about all of the other relationships in your lives that matter as well, but which had not been discussed in the other videos. Thanks for investing your time watching this introductory video. I look forward to seeing you in video number 2, where we'll talk about your most important relationship. See you then.